Everybody, please welcome Stuart Townsend. All right, man. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I didn't know if anyone was going to be here today.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I might have to do this interview on my own.
Nice. No.
Ask myself easy questions.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming.
It's not going to happen that way for you. I guess, I mean, you've been in cold weather countries before, but have you been through stuff like this?
This is cold.
Yeah.
We're outside shooting -20, and it's. I mean, Ireland is cold, but it's not this cold.
No.
It's a whole new level of cold.
Ireland's like a mean damp.
Yeah.
It just sort of hangs around like that uncle that does
bad. It gets into your bones.
Yeah.
You feel like you're 60. Yeah.
For sure. You know, the thing about 13 is it's not just the project, but you're doing a project that had a pre-existing reality for its fans. When you do a graphic novel, you know the pressures, man, of getting it right.
Yeah.
Did you feel any of those pressures?
It's kind of weird because it's not, you know, I'm not, you know, down on the French, but it's a French graphic novel, so it was never a big deal. I never even heard about it in Ireland. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're doing Spider-Man or something, so it's, I haven't felt any of those pressures. I'm sure when I go to France, I'm going to get, you know, people are going to be very, they're going to be watching very carefully what the show is. But for me, it was just reading the scripts and really enjoying this, you know, the overview of the series and enjoying each episode, each script as I read it.
Were you surprised by the script when you read it?
Yeah, I was surprised at how good it was. It was, you know, I didn't see the miniseries. Yeah. So, I mean, if people don't know, it was a show called 13. Originally, it was a two-part miniseries. And we're sort of taking off from where it left off. So I saw the miniseries and I liked it, but I thought this script is actually a lot better. Mm-hmm. And the scripts subsequent have been great.
It's interesting because a handful of years ago, you had talked about how you didn't like anything you had done in the business since back to when you were in theater.
Right.
And that's a hell of a place to be for an artist, to sit around and look at their body of work over a bunch of time and go, I didn't like this. Mm-hmm. Which means you weren't fulfilled, you didn't get any of that.
Right, which is one of the reasons why I went and made my own film. Yeah. You know, I mean, I went into this not really wanting to be an actor, I just wanted to make movies. I watched movies, I loved movies, they moved me, and that's what I wanted to do. And then acting was sort of a weird avenue in, because I was going out with a girl and she was doing drama courses. That's kind of, it's always a girl, you know? And that was kind of how I got into it. So, I you know, the idea of, you know, actually making movies was always behind that.
Your father was a really good golfer. Yeah. Like, he won tournaments. He did well. Yeah. And I wondered, you know, you learn a lot of your life lessons from your folks when you're growing up. Was he a competitive guy? Was he a, you know, some athletes are really used to elite level performance and it's passed down to their sons and daughters in a way that can be either healthy or unhealthy. Yeah. Did you learn some of your adaptability skills from watching what he did, or maybe what your mom did?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I did. He is a very adaptable person as well, and very competitive. He was always very good at sports, which was great, actually. You know, it was kind of good to have someone to compete against, you know, because unfortunately this world is competitive. It shouldn't be, but it is. And so, yeah, I definitely learned. I thought acting was so different to golf, but I realized actually there's a lot of parallels in that it's quite a solitary game. You know, you're playing with, I mean, golf, you're on your own. And acting, you are communicating, and I think the better actor you are, the more you are in that moment with that other person, listening to them. Right. If you're not listening to them, you're not really in the scene. But you are kind of on your own. You do your prep on your own. If you do rehearsals, you're working all these character things out, these story things on your own.
You know what else I would imagine there would be a parallel with it is, if you're a good golfer, because you win, and then you don't win for a long time, and then you win, and then you don't win for a long time. Right. And acting, you know, any kind of performance art is the same thing. Yeah. You have moments where you feel like you've hit your stride, and then you hit a dark period for a long time. Did you go through that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, they're kind of good life lessons. You know, you have to be fairly thick-skinned to want to get into this business. Yeah. You got to take the good with the bad. And you got to you got to get used to being rejected and not take it personally, which can be hard, you know. And yeah, I mean, there are great times, and then there's really, really lousy times, and there's no security. But at the same time, the highs are really high, and it's afforded me, you know, I feel very blessed to have chosen this career.
When you made the movie about the protests in Seattle, how much was it about making a movie that was about something? Not just that you were directing and producing it right away, but that you were making a movie where the subject matter was very clearly about ideology.
It was really important. I mean, you know, Seattle to me was an event that will echo throughout the decades to come. And it's in Egypt right now. People are protesting in Egypt against the neoliberal model that people were protesting in Seattle for. It's the same thing, and it's about inequality, and there's only so much people can take. And I thought when I watched Seattle, it was this first time this global movement had arrived. And it was, you know, it wasn't a protest against government per se. It was the first time it was a protest against corporations, which were these somewhat new entities on the scene that were transnational.
There's this great moment where you saw some of the camera footage and you realized, right, there's a 20, 30-year union veteran truck driver standing next to a guy and a gas mask, and then there's somebody who could be an anarchist, for lack of a better phrase, and you have this, it's like they're marching together.
Yeah.
That hadn't really happened a lot in North America, not in the last 20, 30 years anyway.
Right. So, I mean, it was very much, it was all of those things. I did want to make a film. I did want to, there were certain visions in my head of turtles and Teamsters. Yeah. I wanted to, you know, that vision in my head, I thought that was, you know, really profound, so I wanted to put that on, you know, onto something.
You were born in 72? Is that when you were born? So you would have been 2 years old when the big bombings happened, some of the big bombings happened in Ireland, right?
I was actually born, there was 2 bombings in Dublin, and one was on December 1st. Yeah. I was born 2 weeks later, and the other one was January 1st. So I was born in between these 2 bombings that took place like yards away from the hospital I was born in.
So your development, man, your early years, I'm sure were heavily influenced by the troubles that were going on there.
It's weird because I don't remember it, and I didn't even know that I was born in this weird window until I read a book like a year ago, and it mentioned the dates, and I was like, wow, I was born there. And I thought about my mother and her going into, you know, the hospital where there'd been 2 weeks before there'd been a bomb, literally around the corner. Mm-hmm. But you know, as a kid, we were kind of removed from the troubles, right? Being in the South. It was something that, yeah, you know, there was friends of mine. His mother died. There was, but it was very insignificant in a sense. Belfast was almost as far away as Beirut.
It's incredible how, when you're a child, how you live your life.
Yeah.
Regardless. You mentioned your mother. You were 21 when she passed away.
Yeah.
And it was sudden, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had 2 younger siblings. Mm. Just, I mean, for a lot of, when you go through all the stuff that you have to go through in your later years in life, I mean, you've kind of lived hard early. Was it like, how were you coping with that when it first happened?
That was tough because I kind of had to, like, I was the person who held up the family. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough for me, but it was more my younger brother and sister. That was really hard. And to be honest with you, it's been hard. It kind of broke our family a bit ever since, you know.
Has there efforts been made by you or other members to try to?
Yes, yeah. But, you know, sometimes there's one person in the family that keeps it together. Yeah. And when they're not there, you know, they're not there.
You've gone to build your own career. Your father had a hell of a career, and a lot of times people won't hear about the mother so much. What's the one thing about your mother that you really remember about her?
Just vivacious. I mean, really incredible smile. You know, really somebody who everybody loved. You know, she just lit up a room.
All right. Time for anthropology, rapid fire questions. Half the answers I don't really care what you say, but half them designed to find out what you really like.
Which half is?
Well, that's up to you.
All right.
Okay, so you're in a TV show called 13. What's a better movie, Apollo 13 or 13 going on 30?
13 going on 30.
And now Ron Howard and Tom Hanks will never work with you again.
Never have anyway.
Fair enough. What's the best movie to ever come out of Ireland?
Probably In the Name of the Father, or The Field.
Have you seen In America?
That was Jim Sheridan as well, yeah.
Did you cry?
No.
No!
That was a little hokey for me.
You have no heart, sir.
No, but his previous work, The Field and yeah, the other 2 were great.
Pretty fantastic. Who's history's most inspirational Irish person?
Wow. Definitely not St. Patrick. He's probably the most famous. Yeah. History's most inspirational Irish person. Yeah. Could be Bono.
Could be.
Yeah.
Did you get into it with him once?
No.
No?
No. The media twisted it as if I did, but
there was a thing where
I'm actually mates with him, so I had to do some, hey, I didn't say that, kind of, yeah.
But I imagine you get a lot of that in being a public.
It's weird. It was one of those examples of like, you know, you've really got to be careful what you say. I was involved in a heritage campaign, and I said, well, maybe heritage isn't Bono's thing.
Yeah.
And I said it like just like that, and it was like slams Bono, and you know, and I was like, whoa, you know. But it's tough. You say something off the cuff, and then it's written in print, and it looks very different.
Your dad being a pro golfer, how many pairs of little tiny plaid pants did you have around the house?
Do I have to answer that one?
No.
A few.
If you could do another movie that's activist-based, like the Seattle movie, what would you focus on? What issue is important to you?
God, I wouldn't for a start, but
How come?
it's just, you know, with the industry the way it is, with Hollywood, it's too hard. It's, you know, there's not a market for it, and it's just, it's basically, that's, it's masochism.
Do you learn as much about yourself from the movies or the roles you don't get as you do from the ones you do?
You know, it's weird because I don't feel like they make a lot of good movies anymore, and that's why I'm quite happy to do TV, because I'm happy to just tell stories, but there's really not many films I've seen this year that or last year that I was like, wow, that's a great film.
What do you do when it's a public job? It's a public job, so your wins and losses are public. You went through it with your relationship, but you also know it with films. Like you were on Lord of the Rings, and then you weren't on Lord of the Rings. And it'd be fine. Lots of people have jobs, and then they don't have jobs. But yours just happen to be public.
Yeah.
What's that like when you walk down the street and you know they know too?
It's good for the ego. It's a good ego destroyer. You know, this business is, you know, you eat humble pie a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
It's a good life lesson, right?
It is a lot, yeah.
The series is called 13. Check it out. His co-star is going to be on our program too, Aisha Tyler.
Yeah.
She's a hell
Gorgeous
of a
lady.
person. And funny as hell.
Yeah.
Aisha's coming up on our program in the near future. Stuart Townsend, everyone.
There you go.
Rapid fire wasn't that bad at all.
We'll see you next time.